Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Friday Night Live with me, Hafiz Shaban. It is Friday, the 25th of February, corresponding to what I believe is the 23rd of Rajab 1443. As usual, we are broadcasting live to Luton on 105.1 FM and also broadcasting live to our sister stations across the UK. We are specifically broadcasting live to Sheffield Link FM, Peterborough, Salam, Derby, and Nottingham. Assalamu alaikum to all of our listeners across those cities. And for our listeners elsewhere, internationally and nationally, via the Inspire FM app or via the Inspire FM website. We are, of course, streaming live on Facebook and all major social media platforms. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to all of you this evening. Right. Do remember to like us on tonight's show on any of our social media platforms. Do remember to join tonight's conversation and do remember to leave us your comments. Just a reminder 01582 481822 01582 481822 0779 0779 481822 is the number here in the studio for you to contact us, right? So for you to contact us, get involved in tonight's show, leave us a comment, leave us a thought, leave us a question, whatever's on your mind. Why don't you share it with us on 01582 481822 0779 481822. Right, we've got a host of subjects that we're going to be discussing tonight, as you expect on Friday Night Live. We are going to be starting off immediately by going to South Asia. We're going to be going straight to discussing the current rise in Islamophobia in India. We're going to be discussing the rise in Islamophobia in India. We have seen all sorts of headlines over the last couple of weeks coming out from India, in particular from Uttar Pradesh, but it's not specifically and restricted to Uttar Pradesh. But Uttar Pradesh itself as a state is home to 40 million Muslims. 40 million Muslims. And of course, we have seen the hate crimes against Muslims, right, during Chief Minister Yogi's tenure increase rapidly. Of course, lynchings, hate speech, targeting Muslims have regularly made headlines since 2014 when Narendra Modi's Hindu nationalist BJP party swept to power. So we're going to be discussing more of that in a very, very short while. We have got, of course, our political analyst, Abu Isra, who's going to be joining us live. And we also, I believe, may have Brother Kerry from a cage to discuss the rising Islamophobia in India. Right, what else have we got lined up tonight? Right, we have actually got, of course, Friday Night Live wouldn't be without its current affairs. We are going to be discussing Russia and Ukraine, right? Russia, Ukraine updates. We're going to be covering Russia and Ukraine. What do you make of the crisis in Ukraine? Right, of course, the Russian troops have entered into Ukraine. I might throw a couple of questions to Abu Isra too, of course, who has a keen interest in global political affairs. But we are going to be speaking to a journalist from TRT. TRT, journalist based out in currently stationed actually in Ukraine. So that's going to be a real exclusive, speaking to a journalist who's actually currently stationed in Ukraine. So that's coming up at the half an hour, Russia and Ukraine. And then last but not least, in the second hour of the show, I've got a very, very sad story that I'm going to be covering of a very, very brave sister, a local sister. And of course, I am talking about Amani. And we're going to be talking about brain tumor. Brain tumor, of course, awareness, which is, of course, a campaign that Amani really took to the forefront after she herself was diagnosed with brain tumor. So we're going to be coming on to that story, which has touched the hearts of thousands and thousands and thousands of us, locally, nationally, internationally, I would say, right? And we're going to be covering that story later on in the evening, inshallah, after the hour, when we come into the second hour of the show. So that's the lineup for tonight. It is Friday Night Live, and you are with me, Hafiz Shaban, on 105.1 FM. Right, let's move on to our lead story, inshallah. Once I get my chair in position. All right, we're going to be covering our lead story this evening, and that's going to be we're going to go back to India. And I said the reason why I said we're going back to India is because we were covering the story of India just a couple of weeks ago, of course, when it made headlines. And in particular, Uttar Pradesh made headlines when it decided to stop Muslim sisters from wearing the hijab. Right, so we saw that, and we saw the headlines, and we saw the impact of that across India, because of course it started off in Uttar Pradesh, I believe, right, and then it has actually spiraled into many other states, right. So that's just one story which made headlines a couple of weeks ago. Recently, of course, currently, if I come on to the current context, then of course Uttar Pradesh is due for elections is due for elections to vote a new government. Okay, and as I was saying earlier, it is home to almost 40 million Muslims, right? And what has been notable about Uttar Pradesh, as well as across India, is the rapid increase of hate crimes against Muslims, right, during their tenure of Modi and the Hindu nationalist BJP party since it has swept to power, right? Critics accuse the supporters of the party for anti-Muslim rhetoric, right? And that, of course, emboldens its supporters who go out and carry, we know, violence against the Muslim minorities in India. Modi himself has been fiercely criticized for remaining silent in the past. We know there's been stories of Muslim men who have been lynched, individuals who have been lynched, most notably in 2015, again in Uttar Pradesh, for allegedly having meat in his home, right? And some of the worst incidents have happened in Uttar Pradesh, right, where BJP's Yogi, a saffron, I mean, listen to this, a saffron-robed Hindu priest, right, who has often made inflammatory speeches, okay, since becoming chief minister in 2017, right. So that's the background and that's the context of to the conversation we're having this evening. And the question that we're asking is, what is happening with this anti-Muslim hatred and the rise of Islamophobia in India? Any surprises there at all? What is fueling that? I think it's obvious in terms of the BJP, but what's the real political agenda behind it, and how do we address it? So I believe I've got Abu Isra on the line. Assalamu alaikum, Abu Isra. Brother Abu Isra, can you hear me? Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Alhamdulillah. Great to have you on the show, Abu Isra, once again, inshallah, on Friday Night Live. Abu Isra, you probably heard my introduction with regards to the rise of Islamophobia, Islam hatred and Muslim hatred within India. No new surprises there. Probably you're not going to be surprised by some of the headline items that I've just raised earlier in the introduction. What are your initial thoughts with regards to what we're reading and what we've been covering for the last couple of weeks? Because of course, the hijab, the infamous hijab ban, was spearheaded in this state of Uttar Pradesh. Your initial thoughts, Abu Isra?
Yeah, Jazakallah khair. Just a quick correction. The hijab ban issue started from Karnataka, not Uttar Pradesh, but we are having elections in Uttar Pradesh. So yeah, these two areas are quite linked in that sense. So there are elections going on in UP, and then the Karnataka, the issue of hijab ban actually was in the state of Karnataka, where the incident with our daughter, our sister Muskan Khan, happened actually in Karnataka. But coming back to the actual the core of this issue, I think it went viral. This the stand that Muskan Khan took. I mean, the whole ummah actually from Morocco to Indonesia. I mean, if you had looked at social media, and I was scanning the social media from different places, Muslim ummah across the globe actually felt, and they were in praise and in awe of this sister, who young daughter, in fact, for somebody of my age. The way she took that stand against this fascist elements within India, the ruling BJP, RSS BJP fascist government, basically, it was their supporters. But the key point I want to make quickly is this. It is not this recent hijab issue which brought to light this Islamophobia. In fact, it's the 75 years of history where we have seen pogrom after pogrom and massacres and lynchings which have taken place not just under BJP government but under consecutive Congress governments as well. There are many human rights reports that, highlighting or showing, and there is a record out there. If you just do a quick search on the internet, you will find tens of different reports where are tens of different of pogroms and massacres that has taken place in India in the last 75 years, killing tens of thousands of Muslims basically. So it's nothing new. The Islamophobia in India is nothing new. It's just that it has accelerated in the last 7 to 8 years since 2014, since the arrival of BJP. So it's nothing new basically. It's an old story it's just accelerating. I mean, that's the only thing I would say.
Accelerating, but of course, alarmingly accelerating. I mean, what does that actually mean, Abu Isra, for the Muslims in India? I mean, I was reading a report. I think by 2030, India is set to become, the land with the greatest amount of Muslims all over the world, right? But still a minority within, of course, in India itself, but yet a home to, the land with the most Muslims across the world, and yet facing such hostility and as you say, the anti-Islamic hatred is only getting worse, right? As opposed to stabilizing or getting any better. Well, what's the future looking like for the Muslims in India? To what extent do you follow the affairs of in India and the Muslims in India, Abu Isra?
I actually follow the affairs of our brothers and sisters, our Ummah in India, quite closely. Actually, in fact, on regular basis, I am engaged with our brothers and sisters through social media, Twitter Spaces. I attend spaces with the Muslim youth in India. I've been having in the last few months detailed discussions with the youth there, and I can tell you this: the traditional Muslim leadership there, the ulama and the other traditional politicians, in fact, they have lost almost any traction with the Muslim youth now in India. A new thinking is emerging in India. A new leadership is emerging. There is a young man by the name of Sharjeel Imam who is in prison for the last 2 years under made-up charges, some stupid charges that they've trumped-up charges that they came up with, and the man is under arrest for the last 2 years. So there's been a number of events that has taken place in the last 7 to 8 years, which has really shook the Muslims and especially the Muslim youth. The issues like Babri Masjid, and then the verdict which came from Supreme Court, issues like triple talaq, and then 2 years ago we had the CNRC legislation issue basically. And then now we have this Karnataka issue. So, and then in between we are getting these videos from across India where these fascist elements are lynching innocent Muslims, basically, unarmed Muslim civilians. They've been attacked, they've been thrashed, and many of them been martyred and killed, basically. So Muslim youth, I can tell you right now, and by the way, the population you mentioned, some estimates suggest that the population in India, Muslim population in India, is already the highest in any country in the world. It's more than, some estimates suggest that it's probably close to 300 million, which is way more than Indonesia and Pakistan and Bangladesh, basically. So it's not that it'll be 2030. They already, some estimates say that when the Indian government and Indian state, when they do the census, they always downplay the Muslim numbers. So Muslim numbers in reality could be as close as 300 or as high as 300 million, or it could be as low as 250 million.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah. So okay. I think we've got Brother Kerry that's joined us now from KG2. Brother Kerry, Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to Friday Night Live.
Wa alaikum salam. How are you doing? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay?
Alhamdulillah, brother. Alhamdulillah. Brother Kerry, I assume that you've probably been listening into the show for the last couple of minutes as we're discussing the rising Islamophobia in India. You can hear what Abu Isra is saying with regards to the numbers of Muslims in India. Is that a cause? Is that a reason why the BJP and Modi's party and those politicians are really ramping up the campaign and the anti-Islamic or the anti-Islamic hatred within India as a result of the increasing numbers of Muslims within India? Is that kind of a political threat? Do you think that they're responding to?
Okay, I think I got most of your question there, and I hope you'll get my answer. Let's be clear. What's going on in India is some of the worst anti-Muslim Islamophobia and hatred in the world at the moment. It is an absolutely appalling situation, but it's not the only place where it's happening. It's happening the worst there, but we are seeing a rise of far-right populism across many, many countries. We saw with the rise of Trump in America, and do not think that that phenomenon has gone away. He still controls the majority of the Republican Party. We see it with Erdogan in Hungary, and Putin, and these far right leaders are really gaining traction with populist messages.
Yeah, brother Kerry,
On racism.
Brother Kaleem, you're cutting out. Let's
Yeah,
try again.
sorry, it's this train. Yeah, and a lot of this far right populism is fueled by racism, and specifically racism of Muslims.
Yeah. So, all right, Jazakallah for that. Let me go to Abu Isma. I mean, a question here. Okay, I hear what Brother Kaleem is saying from Cage, and I'm sure people who are listening will draw parallels to not only what is happening in India, but what is happening across the world at the moment, isn't it? I mean, a lot of European countries, Western countries, we're seeing, similar tactics, rise in Islamophobia, but also that there are quite a few common denominators. A rise in the number of Muslims, their affinity to their Islamic belief and identity, the West's kind of attempt to try to integrate, the Muslim, identity and, the value system, etc. Do you see that this is almost a failure of these secular systems in trying to get the Muslim identity watered down and palatable to their likings, and as a result, they kind of ramping up the kind of the violent element of it because they're not able to intellectually or ideologically really convince the Muslim populace? What are your thoughts on that?
No, I agree. I think this needs to be looked at from civilizational perspective, from world order perspective. The reality we are witnessing is that it's not Islamophobia. I don't want to use this word because Islamophobia sounds like it's a localized issue in one or two places or three places. It's a global phenomena. It's an ideological. It has an ideological foundations. This phenomena, and it has civilizational aspects. I mean, the theory that came out. Yeah.
Let's expand upon that. What does that mean? It has civilizational, elements, right? And it's a global. Global phenomena. I get that. I think everyone gets that. What do you mean by civilizational elements, right? Because go on.
Yeah, basically civilization in a sense that currently the world is dominated by a secular ideology, secular order, and the dominant civilization currently is the Western civilization. Now, Muslims had a dominant civilization, thriving civilization for 1,300 years. So there are two centers of power. Only 150 years ago, our civilization was thriving in India, Muslim Hind, and in the Usmani heartlands of Usmani Khilafah. So these were the two major power centers which represented an Islamic civilization. So today, Islam as a civilization is absent. Islam as an ideology, as a state, is absent from global affairs. So when people, for example, I was actually discussing the same issue on a Twitter space yesterday, and people asked me my views on Ukraine and Russia and NATO conflict, and I said, look, we can give our views, but as Muslims, where are we in this in global arena? I mean, we have no voice. We are divided. Secular order it dominates the global affairs. Where is Islam? Who is representing us? Where is our civilization? So it is a civilizational struggle. It is an ideological battle that is taking place, and it's not Islamophobia localized in the UK, in France, in India. You can tell that it's a global phenomena, and everywhere the Muslims have been oppressed. Whether it's East Turkestan, Rohingya, Kashmir, Palestine, India, I mean, you name it, it's a global phenomena.
Okay, so global civilizational phenomena, right? All right. I mean, Muslims of India. You're saying that the thinking of the Muslims of India is changing quite rapidly. I mean, what is that change in this in the mentality of the Muslims of India that you're engaging with, Abu Isra? How is it changing? How is their response changing? I mean, from the sisters we can see, mashallah, that as you say, really holding on to their faith. The fact that they've been heckled, the fact that they've been prevented from education didn't mean for them, let's compromise on our identity, but it actually made them even stronger in holding their identity. Is that the kind of signs that you're seeing and you're hearing from Muslim youth?
No, that's absolutely. You correctly picked up on that. I mean, obviously, these are the key signs, key indicators. Absolutely, but there is another shift that is taking place, and not many people probably are. Many political pundits are probably getting that or capturing that, and that shift is about Muslim youth, especially. Now I'm talking about youth now, and I'm talking about hundreds of millions of Muslims in terms of the youth population. They seem completely detached now from the system in India in terms of hoping for any justice or getting any kind of rights from the system. So Muslim youth in India is getting detached from the political system there, and they are looking outwards now towards the global ummah.
Right.
So that's the key shift I'm sensing now.
All right. So you're saying they're looking globally, internationally towards this pan kind of pan international kind of a justice, right? But what about, let's keep it local to India, right? I mean, some people will argue that this has been on the increase since 2014, since BJP came in power. But before that, the landscape was a lot better for Muslims in India. Is the solution to the problem really getting in some of those leftist parties, whether it's in America, whether it's in Europe, or whether it's in India, and trying to unite with those who are against these far extreme right parties?
This left and right spectrum of existing secular liberal sort of capitalist paradigm, to be honest, this has been tried and tested across the globe now, whether it's the Labour Party in the UK or Congress versus BJP in India. I mean, Muslims have realized that it's left wing or right wing are two wings of the same bird. So it absolutely makes no difference whether Congress comes to power. Like I said, in Indian context, for the last 75 years, the majority of the time Congress was in power, and most of the pogroms and the massacres that took place, they were actually under Congress in different parts of India. So Muslims in India, as far as Muslims in India are concerned, they have lost total trust in the existing system. They see no hope from the judiciary. The Karnataka High Court, there is a case going on right now against this hijab ban, and Muslims are sensing that they won't have much luck with the High Court in Karnataka. Same thing happened at Supreme Court in India and in different other high courts in different states. So judiciary has failed Muslims, their administration and bureaucracy has failed.
Abu Isra, is there hope for the Muslims in India to through their neighbors in Pakistan, seeing if Imran Khan, and the other Muslim neighbors can be of any I don't know, moral, political help? Do you think there's any scope of hope there?
The solution, as far as I'm concerned, for the Muslims in India actually lies on the east and the west end. On one side is Bangladesh, on the other side is Pakistan. The Muslims now need to take charge of their own affairs through the establishment of Islam as a deen, as a way of life, as an ideology in Pakistan, and Muslims demand that in Pakistan and Bangladesh. The only protection Indian Muslims have now, I'm telling you, the massacre is coming, the genocide is coming. The only way the Muslims in India can be protected is if we implement Islam in Pakistan and Bangladesh, and from east and west we can then take on the state which is oppressing our brothers and sisters in India. There is no other solution.
Right, Abu Isa, unfortunately, we've run out of time and we're coming towards the end of the first half of the show or the first segment of the show. I do want I do want to continue discussing with you the current crisis between Russia and Ukraine. If you could kindly lend us a few more minutes of your time, would be fantastic after the commercial break, if possible. Producers, if you can please engage with Abu Isra and see that we can have Abu Isra on the other side of the commercial break. Listeners, we are about to go into a commercial break. This is Hafiz Shaban. We are on Friday Night Live, and we are currently discussing the rising case of Islamophobia within India. What are the causes? What is the trends that we're seeing across India? Is it BJP? Is it the Congress Party? Is it just the ideology? What is it? 01582481822. We're about to go into commercial break. I can't see the countdown, but when we're back, we will continue with the show. Don't go away.
This program will continue after the break. Continue listening to Inspire FM. Inspire FM.
Inspire 105.1 FM.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Maya. You are listening to Inspire FM 105.1 FM.
Takeaway or drive up and have it served curbside. Either way, you'll love Chai Pani's tasty selection of Asian teas, coffees, freshly squeezed juice and delightful snacks, including loaded donuts. You'll find Chai Pani at Container Village on Leagrave Road. And whatever you choose to treat yourself with, it'll be love at first sip or love at first bite. That's Chai Pani drive-thru at Container Village on Leagrave Road, LU31JJ, and across all social media.
AK Windows South Limited, manufacturers and installers of high-quality UPVC windows and doors, bifold doors, composite doors, conservatories, porches, skypods, fascias, guttering, and much, much more. We specialize in double glazing and triple glazing using the best German profile. If you want quality at affordable prices, AK Windows is the place to go. If your house needs a facelift, you know who to trust. For a free quote, call AK Windows today on 01582 483 777 or visit us at Unit 10E, Britannia Estate, Leagrave Road, Luton.
अटेंशन फॉर लैंडलॉर्ड्स, क्या आप चाहते हैं कि आपकी प्रॉपर्टी जल्द से जल्द किराए पर लग जाए और आपकी प्रॉपर्टी की 100% देखभाल के साथ साथ किराया भी पर वक्त मिले? तो मैरीगोल्ड रेजिडेंशियल्स से राब्ता कीजिए। मैरीगोल्ड रेजिडेंशियल्स अब प्रॉपर्टी की खरीदो फरोख्त का काम भी करते हैं। अगर आप अपनी प्रॉपर्टी रेंट पर खरीदना या बेचना चाहते हैं तो आज ही फोन कीजिए 01582 617 617 251 Dunstable Road, Luton. Terms and conditions apply.
I run a bike shop. I've been bringing in stock from the EU for years. And next year, I want to be doing the same. The rules might be changing, but my business isn't. Before, you could delay your customs declarations. But from the 1st of January, you can't. You've got to do it when the goods enter the country. So I'm starting right now. To keep your business moving, visit gov.uk/import goods into UK.
For the last 10 years, SKT Welfare, with your support, has helped millions of people who are suffering due to lack of food, shelter, water, and medical care in Pakistan, Syria, Africa, Yemen, Palestine, and Bangladesh for Rohingya refugees. Thank you. Without your support, we could not have achieved this. Please continue to help. Donate now. 0300 30 20 786 or www.sktwelfare.org. Just 85 pence a day could provide vital food.
If you're struggling to keep your home warm or are worried about increasing energy bills, Home Efficient could help. As approved installers, Home Efficient can carry out a free energy saving survey. Then, with government grants available, install a wide range of home improvements, including underfloor, wall, and roof insulation, and possibly even a brand new boiler for free, or with a significant contribution towards the cost. So visit homeefficient.co.uk for free, no obligation, and honest advice, or call 0800 001 6941.
The Prophet ﷺ said, "On the day of resurrection, my followers will be called Al-Ghur'ul Muhajjalun, from the trace of ablution, and whoever can increase the area of his radiance should do so." Sahih Bukhari.
From the studios of Inspire FM, the time is now 6:30.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to Friday Night Live with me, Hafiz Shaban. It is Friday the 25th of February, just gone past 18:30, just gone past 6:30 p.m. And of course, it is corresponding to the 23rd of Rajab 1443. We are broadcasting live to Luton on 105.1 FM and across our partner stations, including Sheffield Link FM, Peterborough, Salam, Derby, Nottingham, anyone else listening to us across the UK on any of our social media platforms. We are, of course, broadcasting live on all major social media platforms. 01582 481 822, 01582 481 822, 0779 481 822, 0779 481 822 is the number here in the studio. Do not forget to leave us a comment or a thought or any feedback on tonight's show. We were discussing the case of rising Islamophobia in India in the first half an hour with our special guest, political analyst Abu Isra, who's a regular, no stranger to Friday Night Live, a regular commentator when needed, which we really appreciate. And I have kindly asked Abu Isra to continue to hold so that we can, of course, discuss the current situation in Ukraine. Right, let me go and see my virtual studio and see if Abu Isra is with us. Abu Isra, assalamu alaikum. Are you still with us?
Wa alaikum salam. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, absolutely. I can hear you. And firstly, Jazakallah khair for extending your airtime with us this evening, right? But let's move away from India, which we were covering earlier. And let's come to Europe, right? Let's come to Europe, right at the heart of Europe now, Ukraine, one of the biggest land masses in Europe, and of course, after weeks of speculation and after weeks of the militarization of the Russian and Ukraine border, finally we saw this week the Russian troops enter into Ukrainian territory. Now, before I go to you, Abu Isra, with some of your thoughts, and let's really discuss a bit of some political analysis here. It would have been good to have Brother Zafar in the studio. Brother Zafar, if you're listening, please do dial in. I want to hear your thoughts on this story. All right. But you know what? I've been speaking to a lot of people. I've been speaking to people on the streets, at school, in the gym, and one of the things that I've heard a lot of people say is that, you know what, it's the first time after many years, right, where a major power has invaded into a country that's not Muslim, right? That's not Muslim, right? So those are some of the sentiments that I've heard from people out there, and a lot of comments with regards to American and Western hypocrisy with regards to other geographies, whether it's Kashmir, whether it's Palestine, whether it's the Uyghurs, or whether it's Kuwait, or whether it's Iraq, as we've seen in the past. But anyway, those are some of the sentiments that are out there in the streets. If you've got a thought, if you've got a comment, if you've got a question, if you've got any thoughts with regards to the current crisis that's going on between Russia and Ukraine, whatever the angle, 01582 481 822, 01582 481 822, 0779 481 822, right? 0779 481 822. That will allow you to send me a WhatsApp or a SMS message. And producers, if you can please share it on the WhatsApp page, then I'll include it in the discussion tonight. Right, Abu Isra, over to you. Your initial thoughts on the Russian invasion into Ukraine, and I'm looking forward to discussing some political analysis with you, brother.
Yeah, Jazakallah khair. Look, primarily, like you said in your intro for this, like,
right, we're losing you, Abu Isra. The first half an hour was brilliant, but now I can't hear you. All right, that's a shame. I think we've lost Abu Isra. Right, producers, if we can also try to get in touch with our other guest who is currently, right, just so listeners, just so that we put things into perspective, we are trying to take you and take in a Friday Night Live to Ukraine, right? So we've got brother Ali Mustafa, who's a journalist at TRT World, right, and is currently stationed in Ukraine, and is only available for to us for 10 minutes. Now, the current dynamics of the situation on the ground, right, is that we're hearing that our journalist that has booked has just let us know that there's apparently an imminent attack. That's an imminent attack that is expected in the area that the journalist is based in, right? So he's going to try his best to join us, but if we have some issues, and quite frankly, if we're not able to speak to our journalists out there, I'm not going to be surprised at all, right? Because of the current dynamics out there, right? So you can, as you can appreciate, we are working behind the scenes to try to bring this story live to you from Ukraine. If we can't bring it live from Ukraine, we will try to get in touch with Abu Isra again. Abu Isra, assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me? Nope. Looks like we have lost Abu Isra. Right, so if we can't get Abu Isra and we can't get our brother journalist, TRT journalist based out in, his internet has gone down. Yep, that's what happens when you're overseas. Internet suddenly goes down, and those are the issues that we're having. He's joined. All right, he's joined. Who's joined? Abu Isra has joined. Assalamu alaikum, brother Abu Isra. This really feels like I'm reporting live from a war zone, because we're losing reception, we're losing connectivity, right? It's all dynamic. I don't know what's happening. So this is quite it really feels like I'm speaking to someone based out there in the heart of the war zone right now, man. All right, it looks like I still can't speak. I can't still hear Abu Isra. Abu Isra, assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me? Abu Isra.
Salam. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. We can hear you now.
You can't hear me. There's a delay.
Over to you.
Okay, so I think it's a bad connection, but if you can hear me, I was just saying, as you've covered in your intro, it's first time after a very long time that the neo-imperialist powers, NATO, a colonialist club, and under the auspices of the US, it's after a long time that they have invaded a non-Muslim majority land. Although we could claim that Crimea and parts of Ukraine were in Islamic land when they were under Osmani Khilafah. But regardless, in today's context, so the way Muslims are looking at it is from that angle, that there are two hegemonic states. One, in fact, on one side is the group of states under NATO, under the leadership of US, and on the other side is Russia, looking for the past glories, and stamping his authority as an empire now, expanding his borders basically. So this is an interesting thing that has happened, and in fact, this has given us a window of opportunity for the Muslim majority lands, and Muslim as an ummah globally, where we are witnessing the hegemonic powers like Russia and the US and NATO, who have invaded Muslim lands in the last many decades, basically, in a conflict engaged with each other. Yeah, okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly, Abu Isra, right? So what do you think is the primary driver for Russia to go into Ukraine at this particular moment, right? So, Russia's been obviously negotiating. Russia's been telling Ukraine to give up its, ambitions of joining NATO, right? But a lot of the other former Eastern Russian states have gone on, become independent and gone on and joined NATO. So why in particular this, final straw that broke the camel's back in the case of Russia with regards to Ukraine, and not other states that have gone ahead and joined NATO?
I think on the surface of it, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Yep, I can hear you.
Yeah, on the surface of it, is to do with the ethnic Russians and Slavs that make a bulk of present-day Ukraine. And historically, obviously, Ukraine has been considered part of what we see today's Russia, basically. So these two lands have a deeper history, basically, and hence the claim, and hence Russia's desire to have Ukraine as a buffer zone between herself and broader NATO or European Union, basically, as such. So I mean, on the surface, on the face of it, this seems to be the reason. But it looks like ultimately Russia is going to lose out in this battle, because the more they push the military push or military drive they take inside Ukraine, the greater the reasoning US and the NATO gets in terms of pulling not just only Ukraine into their club, but other countries which are still outside of their club. So it looks like Russia may not come out as a winner in all this. Eventually, this tussle or this,
Yeah. Okay. I hear you, but I'm hopefully you can hear me now, Abu Isra, too, right? But surely Russia has taken
a global soft power.
Yeah. Right. So Abu Isra, surely Russia has taken that. Surely Russia has taken that into consideration already. Part of its calculation, right? Strategy is that if you don't go into Ukraine, Ukraine joins, NATO. If you go into Ukraine, okay, others join NATO, right? So that's surely been part of his thinking strategy. But ultimately, here, it's considered this as the only option or the best option for Russia, right? But what does that signal to the likes of China with regards to, for example, Taiwan, right, and where other kind of disputes and other areas like that? Any thoughts with regards to what this may trigger internationally with other heavyweights?
I mean, it certainly gives them a very obvious, blatant justification for example, China to move into Taiwan and or India to make a broader claim into Kashmir, for example, and all that. But the key point is that Chinese and the Russians. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yes.
I think there's a.
Continue talking.
Yeah, the key thing here is that the Chinese and the Russians, they still operate under the order which was put in place by the US. So I think that's the key thing we mustn't forget. So and these are the Chinese state, even though they've gone heavily into Africa and Asia and other countries, but an important element they lack in global diplomacy is the soft power, and so there is no chance of China or Russia. Basically, the order remains with the US and its key allies, states like France and Britain, basically. So the global order, the global secular liberal order, would remain until and unless there is a competing ideology like Islam comes onto the global arena through a powerful state, and that state could emerge, inshallah, from places like Pakistan and Bangladesh joining together, or Pakistan and Afghanistan and Central Asia.
Yeah. Okay. I hope you're still there, Abu Isra. I was gonna ask you the next question with regards to Imran Khan, who's of course been to Moscow and was seen meeting with Putin. I don't know if we've lost you and whether we're going to be able to get that question to you or not. Abu Isra, if you can hear that question, your thoughts on Imran Khan being in Russia, visiting Putin, and what are the interests for Pakistan in Russia?
Sorry, I'm having a bad connection. Can you hear me now?
Yep, I can hear you.
Sorry, I couldn't hear your last question. Could you please repeat that?
Yeah. The question was with regards to Imran Khan and his visit to Russia.
Okay, yeah, that's very interesting actually. The timing and everything. The people are reading into it. I mean, there are a couple of views. One view is that historically 50 actually it is this month 50 years ago when Pakistan played a role engaging US with China. So it was during Bhutto's time when Henry Kissinger came to Pakistan, and Pakistan opened the doors for US into China. And so this time there is a particular view out there that it was Chinese who have sent a Pakistani prime minister into Moscow basically to open up a channel for these two powers to come together. I mean, there is a particular view, but it's very interesting that a Pakistani prime minister lands in a country which has just gone or just about to or was about to go into war, or about that time. It is really interesting. I mean, we could read it in different ways, but there is that is one angle that I've just put to you. I can't see any other angle right now, to be honest.
All right, excellent. Abu Isra, thank you very much for extending your airtime with us this evening. Great to have you with us as always. Fantastic. Jazakallah khairan. Until next time, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam, barakallah fi.
Right, alhamdulillah. Okay, listeners, that was Abu Isra, who very, very kindly gave us more time than initially requested to not only cover the story in India, but also to help us navigate through the political crisis, the military crisis that's currently going on and unfolding in Ukraine. And of course, it's the Russian-Ukraine crisis, right? We have been trying to get in touch with our journalists at TRT based in Ukraine, but as you can understand and appreciate, it's been very, very difficult, as of course there's been a state of an emergency that's been declared in Ukraine. Right, we're going to be moving on to our next topic. Okay, Jazakallah khair for a reminder, for a prompt there by our producers. Brother Naeem Aslam has joined for the next topic about the school-to-school run. Right, this is really an interesting concept, man. I've never heard of a school-to-school run before. Is this kids running away from one school to another school, or is it something else, right? But it's not apparently. It's in fact, it's happening tomorrow. Here we go. I've got an introduction here. School to school run this Saturday, 26th of February, inshallah ta'ala, will be the Luton Food Bank will be joining schools, taking part in the school to school run in support of the London school, in support of the Luton Food Bank this Saturday. Brother Naeem Aslam, who is running in the school to school run, let's speak to Brother Naeem and find out what's going on here, because I'm a bit confused. Brother Naeem, assalamu alaikum. All right. It looks like I'm not able to speak to Brother Naeem. Brother Naeem, is Brother Naeem on, producers? Right, because I thought I got a message saying that Brother Naeem is on, and now I'm finding out that he is actually not on. So anyway, let me know when Brother Naeem is on. The story that we were going to cover with Brother Naeem, all right, he's disconnected. The story we were going to cover with Brother Naeem was about this school-to-school run that's happening tomorrow, 26th of February. Okay, let's try and get him back. All right, please, let's try to do that. They're going to be starting at Cholney Girls High School, 10 a.m., running past various schools around the town and finishing at Denby High School. Sounds like a marathon to me, bro, with the refreshments at Warden Park. Okay, alhamdulillah, we're running to raise awareness and funds for Luton Food Bank Winter Appeal to support local families in need. All right, so if you're up tomorrow, Saturday morning, right, and you fancy a run, then why don't you gather together at Cholney Girls High School and join, I'm sure, which will be a group of brothers and sisters that will be running from school to school across Luton. Now, I'm getting a bit scared here, because running between school to school, right, might be quite a marathon or a half a marathon here. Okay, he's joined. Okay, let's go back to Brother Naeem. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Naeem.
Wa alaikum salam. How you doing, Hafiz Shaban?
Alhamdulillah, I'm good, bro. How you doing, man? You okay?
I'm good, alhamdulillah.
MashaAllah, brother. I know you're a bit of a runner, Akhi, man. This idea of running school to school in Luton, bro, is a bit scary. MashaAllah, what's going on?
Yes, it's just a initiative that it's a joint partnership between Luton Food Bank and Luton Lions. So what we're doing is we're calling out parents, governors, teachers to take the school to school run challenge, which is Saturday the 26th of February 2022 at 10 o'clock. So they're starting off from Cholney.
Tomorrow, right?
Yes. So they're starting off at Choni Girls High School, and it's going to be finishing at the bandstand in Wardown Park. So it's approximately about 6 miles.
Okay.
And the purpose of it is to mobilize families, school communities in support of the Luton Food Bank Winter Appeal to support families in need locally. So as you're aware, with the current climate, inflation's very high, and there's families within the community that are struggling to just get basic necessities. So what we're doing with joint partnership with Luton Food Bank is got a £15 winter appeal that we're raising money for, and it's just to interconnect between schools and the community, just to raise awareness at the current problem that we have, unfortunately.
Right. Subhanallah. I mean, it sounds like a fantastic initiative, Brother Naeem. I mean, if it's nice weather like it was today with the sun out, man, I wouldn't mind joining you at 10 o'clock, bro, for the run, man. It sounds good, man. We've got another runner sounds like he's running already, man. Brother Shahid Kois, man. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Shahid.
Walaikum salam. How you doing?
Have I caught you in the middle of training session there?
I'm on the bike.
Oh, you're on the bike. You're training for tomorrow, bro. That's cheap.
I'm warming up for tomorrow because these youngsters leave me behind mostly. So Naeem and them, so I need to keep up with them. I'm too old for them nowadays.
Yeah. I think I'm in your category, bro. But I think you leave me behind too, mashallah, bro. So what's motivating you to get involved then?
I think what it is obviously there's a huge need in the town. Working with the various charities, I think there's a massive need to support these charities, and obviously we've got some brilliant people with this to discover Islam that have got links with the charities, whether it's Food Bank, whether it's various international charities, or whether it's for homeless and so on. I think we as a community have a responsibility to actually support these causes, and if there's anything that we can do, and the good thing about this running and the rest of it, we're actually doing something to help others, but at the same time, we're helping ourselves by our fitness. As you're getting older, your health deteriorates, and also there's a kind of a brotherhood there that we all like Naeem and us, even we've become very close. But what's it through running? So 4 years before Naeem and me didn't know each other, but it just creates a sense of brotherhood as well. So overall, everybody benefits from this, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, very, very good, man. And just those of my listeners, right, who are used to kilometers and not miles, man. I've just done a quick Google, conversion. So we're talking about 10K here, right? We're talking about 10K.
Yeah, so we talk about 10 to 12K, depending on, if someone takes the car or they start running from the house. Depends on some of the youngsters are running there. We take the car and they say, we'll meet you there. So it all depends on,
my worry is if I come along tomorrow, Brother Naeem might do a detour, bro, and decide to, include a few additional schools, Akhi, man, and start increasing.
I think one thing we do is, no matter who comes along, based on your ability, we never leave anybody behind. And that's the best thing. We're quite inclusive like that because all of our journeys are different. We all started off in a different place because obviously when I started running first, forget 5K. I was, you couldn't get me on a treadmill walking for 10 minutes. But over time, it's consistency, having the right, and we've got obviously within our group as well, mashallah, we've got various brothers with different abilities. We've got the elite, we've got semi-elites, we've got beginners, we've got like on Tuesday nights, we've got beginners runners clubs, which is Dr. Munjo runs, and again, we go there to join them and support them. On Thursday evenings, we got a track session as well. So overall, we've got different abilities. So anybody that joins us, we'll never leave them and say, hey, go your own way. We'll always come back for them or we'll run with them, because it's not necessarily that we have to run fast all the time. When we run together, we run far rather than running fast.
Yeah, brothers and sisters, those of you that are actually watching us live as opposed to listening to us live, you know what? It's the first time I think I've interviewed someone who's actually exercising whilst I'm speaking to you. So it's actually brilliant, man. To actually see Shahid live in action, guys. If you want to see Shahid live in action, StreamYard. You know,
time is short, so you have to get in where you have to get in. Simple as that.
I think one of the key fundamental things about especially the Luton Lions is that people see like on social media, like, you know, running marathons, half marathons, and one of the things that they get put off that they think that it's a massive task, and if we join, people will be left behind. But one of the things is with us is that it's not about, you know, finish who crosses the line first. It's making sure everyone crosses the line. So one of the things is that for every beginning one runner we have like a sort of like a ratio that they bring another 3. So that's how we've grown the community.
All right, brother Shahid Khois, we're going to leave it then. Unfortunately, we've run out of time, inshallah. I'll recap what you guys are doing when I come back from the commercial break. But brother Shahid, Naeem, continue your training and we'll speak next time, inshallah. Jazakallah.
We'll see you tomorrow. See you tomorrow, bro.
See you tomorrow, inshallah. Right, listeners, that was brother Shahid and Naeem, and we'll discuss that when we come back from the commercial break. Don't go away. This is Friday Night Live, and you're with me, Hafiz Shaban. Assalamu alaikum.
This program will continue after the break. Continue listening to Inspire FM. Inspire FM.
Inspire 105.1 FM.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is Naveed Aziz. Stay tuned for the best radio programming in Luton, Inspire FM.
Ideal Properties 20 साल से आपकी खिदमत में पेश आपकी प्रॉपर्टी की सारी जिम्मेदारी अब हमारी। हम अच्छी तरह से जांच पड़ताल करके किराएदार डालते हैं और आपको किराया बर वक्त गारंटी के साथ दिलवाते हैं। अगर आप प्रॉपर्टी किराए पर लेने या फरोख्त करने का सोच रहे हैं तो आज ही हमारे तजुर्बाकार माहिरीन से राब्ता कीजिए 01582721110 या फिर 01582696050। Ideal Properties, आपकी मदद हमारा ऐन फरीजा।
Did you know GCSEs and SATs have now changed? These changes mean it's now harder for your child to pass their GCSEs. If you have children between the ages of 8 and 15, Attainment Plus Tuition can help. Attainment Plus Tuition provides professional help with maths, English and science, with fully qualified teachers and teaching assistants from local schools. Classes run 7 days a week for free. Yes, free tuition for your children. Call Attainment Plus Tuition now on 0777 6237 451. Terms and conditions apply, subject to eligibility.
عن ابن مسعود رضي الله عنه قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لا يحل دم امرئ مسلم إلا بإحدى ثلاث الثيب الزاني والنفس بالنفس والتارك لدينه المفارق للجماعة.
Whether you're looking to refresh your current bathroom or enjoy an exciting complete new design, you'll find everything you need at trade prices at Bath & Tile Superstore in Luton, with service with a smile from our super friendly staff. Why not take advantage of our 3D design service? Big names, designer brands at low prices. Bathrooms, tiles, radiators, adhesive, grouting and accessories. Visit the showroom where there's extensive stock to take away or arrange for delivery. That's Bath & Tile Superstore, Cosgrove Way, LU1 1XL. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Instagram for inspiration and updates.
A Sadaqah Jariyah unlike any other. This year, Allah has blessed us with the incredible opportunity of illuminating the interior of the Dome of the Rock Masjid, the exact place where the Prophet ﷺ was ascended into the heavens. This new lighting system will illuminate the central areas inside the Dome of the Rock. Gain the reward of praying in Masjid Al-Aqsa and give today. Visit muslimhands.org.uk.
Oh, Hillary, I was going to use newspaper display advertising.
But
it costs £10 per inch.
And that's too expensive.
Oh, indeed it is. I want to sell a 10-foot ladder.
Oh, Roger. Invest in an ear-catching advertising campaign on this radio station instead. It's a great way to tell people about your products and service.
For details, click on inspirefm.org, then advertise.
From the studios of Inspire FM, the time is now 7 o'clock.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to Friday Night Live with me, Hafiz Sha'ban. It is Friday the 25th of February 2022, corresponding to what I believe is the 23rd of Rajab 1443. As usual, we are broadcasting live to Luton on 105.1 FM and also across our sister partner stations, including Sheffield Link FM, Peterborough, Salam, Derby, Nottingham. For listeners elsewhere across the UK, we are, of course, broadcasting live on all major social media platforms. Not to mention the Inspire FM app or via the Inspire FM website. Assalamu alaikum to all of our listeners, whatever platform your preference is. Last but not least, do remember to like us on tonight's show. Do remember to leave your comments, your questions, your likes, or even your dislikes. Always good to hear any criticism that you may have with regards to the show and how we can make the show better. 01582 481 822 01582 481 822 is the number here in the studio. 07779 481 822. Now that's the number for you to send in your SMS WhatsApp messages. 07779 481 822. Right. Okay, so we are, mashallah, in the second hour of the show. We're going to be moving on to our next story. We're going to be covering academics. We're going to be covering university and some proposed legislative changes that are coming in that might be hitting some of the poorest families, households out there who may be considering going to university. Any of our youngsters who are considering going on to university and are from a poor background, they may be impacted by the current proposals that we're going to be discussing with our counsellor. We're going to be discussing with our counsellor Saab very, very shortly. But just before I go there, Councillor Aslam Saab, we're going to be speaking to very, very shortly. But just before I go there, I just want to give you a heads up of what's coming on the half an hour. At 7:30, we are covering a very, very special story, something that has been very close to the hearts of many of our listeners, many of our Lutonians, and also for people out over and beyond Luton, right? So it's not only about Luton, it's actually outside of Luton too. And we are going to be discussing about the tragic case, right? The very, very emotional case of Armani Liaquat, who of course we know passed away at the age of 23. Of course, Armani Liaquat was diagnosed, right, with a brain tumor not too long ago, and then through the qada of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, she of course passed away in the early hours of Monday the 21st of February. Now, it's a story that has touched the hearts and minds of many, many people. Anyone who has read her story, anyone who has come across her story has been touched by her story, right? And of course, she became an amazing ambassador for brain tumor research. Not only, I'm not going to say she only became an ambassador for brain tumor research, which she did, but I mean the amount of people that she touched and she inspired with her story and her bravery, her patience, her perseverance, and her family. SubhanAllah, you know what? They deserve all the respect, right? So we're going to be covering that story from 7:30 onwards, right? But anyway, let's go back to what we were discussing earlier, and that is the minimum GCSE threshold for student loans will hit poorest, hardest, say experts, right? This is a story on the Guardian.com. Let me go and see. Okay, Muhammad Aslam has joined. Okay, fantastic. Let me go straight to our honorable guest, Councillor Muhammad Aslam Saab. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam. Shaban, how are you?
Yeah, alhamdulillah. Great to see you, Councillor Saab. How are you keeping?
Very good, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here again on your show.
Excellent. Good to have you with us, and good to have guests with us who come back with a positive review of the show. Alhamdulillah, fantastic news there. Right, maybe we can actually explore what else has been happening in the council. But at the moment, this headline, I mean, I to be honest with you, Councillor Sabai, I didn't actually see this news story, so it's caught me by a bit of a surprise there. But I've been reading about it earlier. Not good news, is it, for people who are from poorer backgrounds?
Well, it's quite a interesting article that you referred to, and the discussions that are being had. As you know, the type of jobs that are available, the whole industry post-COVID and even before COVID is changing. And I think most of us, when we either study or do anything, we have an outcome in mind. So when you are studying, of course, if you want to get into university, and some of the entry criteria will be focused on maths, English, and so those scientific subjects. And that might be a career pathway which would be, appropriate for some children. However, there are some who may need that extra support, and in schools and universities, they do offer that extra support for them to improve grades. However, we need to make sure that education offer is inclusive. For example, some kids may have learning difficulties, so maths and science might not be their strength. So we need to look at what else they could do, what pathway they could take, which leads to a career or profession or job that they would like to do and enjoy. So from our perspective here locally, as you know, that I've got a responsibility for education and skills. So for the past couple of years, the council has embarked on the most extensive piece of research that we've done, looking at our population, our needs, our education offer, and more importantly, the jobs that we're creating. As you know, we've been expanding our airport. We're looking at transforming our town center with all that digital economy and green jobs. So we're creating lots of opportunities for our residents. And the question is that, how do we, from early years all the way to university, ensure that there are pathways in place that will help people to achieve their aspirations, get into employment, more importantly. So I'm really proud to say that, we have now got all the stakeholders on board, be it the Shared Academy, Chiltern Academy, all the other schools and colleges and universities, everyone coordinating efforts to make sure we've got good quality education offer in place, and skills offer in place that will help to meet the aspirations of our residents. So coming back to the question of loans, for some people, yes, getting into university might be the thing they're looking for. However, I think parents and students need to consider apprenticeships, higher degree apprenticeships, and also those skills, vocational skills that you can get from whether it may be, Barnfield College, Central Beds. We are very fortunate in this town. We've got, sixth form college and some of the best schools available, and a university on its doorstep. Now, the big focus of Beds University is home recruitment, and we need to make sure that we look at the kind of courses that are available, whether it may be, engineering, whether it may be local pilots or hospitality or health and social care. These are jobs which are readily available at your doorstep, and there are education pathways in place for you to learn and have those skills to get into employment here locally.
A lot of areas, mashallah, Councillor Aslam, as always, you've got so much to cover that you've actually touched upon. So I'm going to try to home into some of those areas. Let's explore some of those in a short while. But I just want to go back to the article itself. I mean, when it actually says that the government is planning on blocking finance for those who fail GCSE maths or English, to be honest with you, I was a bit surprised in the sense that I thought maths and English was mandatory anyway to get into a university. Maybe I've got my facts mixed up, and that's not the case. But I always used to think that you always needed maths and English before you can go to university. But I mean, those would be quite fundamental topics, wouldn't they, for all institutions, all schools, to make sure that their students are passing maths and English, and especially students who have aspirations to go on, right? Even if you're not going to university, right? Quite frankly, and you want to go down this route of apprenticeships, for example, right? You know, elementary maths, right? And a good command of communication and in English is almost going to be essential, isn't it? So how do we really ensure that, you know, and then I guess you're going to tell me about the challenge that you've got, because a lot of parents and a lot of backgrounds and families are not necessarily, you know, English speaking, right? And they are from overseas, and you know, English is a second language for them. How do we ensure that that extra support is provided to ensure, you know, that we're getting right up there in terms of everyone is coming out with a maths and an English GCSE, or is that too ambitious?
No, I would say it's not ambitious. It's just making sure, look, with like all the parents, and like you quite rightly said, English, maths, and this some of the core subjects, they're so essential and important. So when you're sitting and really looking at, you know, supporting your children, you need to look at from early years all the way to university. So you almost have to work backwards and think, what kind of support does your child need? And you need to provide that. In schools, we like to think that the children are very well supported, and on top of that, we support a lot of voluntary organizations like Rise Up Foundation, Attainment Plus, and many others, which are there to be accessed, and they can provide that vital support if the parents don't have those expertise. And schools themselves do have after school clubs, and they make assessments and try to put, you know, the most appropriate support around that child. But, you know, the ownership of education includes parents and the child. So the facilities are there, the support offer is there. So, and then the expectation of grades and getting certain grades, getting certain level of grades is important when you're looking to get to sixth form. So that hasn't changed. It's always been there, and it will continue to be there. The question here is that if that pathway to a degree level course is one of the options, but now you have apprenticeships which are an option, which are funded by the government, and you know, which will be available, and they are available at university level, college level. So we need to really understand what would be the best possible pathway for a child. But I completely agree with you that anything that we do has to be inclusive. We cannot marginalize communities who are already left behind, and we have to make sure we identify those families and those children much earlier who need that extra support, and wrap those services around them. And as parents, we need to know where the help is and how we're going to access it.
All right, so that's a good point. Just a quick final question on that area, right, Councillor Saab, which is that additional support that's being offered, is that awareness amongst the parents being well raised, you know, through, you know, the platforms that we're discussing on at the moment, right? And how is the intake of that, right? Because I mean, we're just coming out of this 2-year pandemic, right, where education has suffered, you know, enormously, right? And I'm just thinking about this government proposal. I mean, it's so insensitive, right? Because I mean, you're just coming out of a 2-year pandemic, and people, you know, are playing catch up, right? Education's playing catch up, teachers are playing catch up, everyone's struggling, right? And to kind of you know, propose this, right, it's not very fair, is it? Quite frankly,
no, not at all. No, and I completely agree with you. At this time in a moment, you know, we're coming out of pandemic, and you know, we're just getting to the grasp of new ways of working, and digital learning for some people has been, you know, challenging. We just need to make sure that everyone's got the right support, and we're not sort of making policies which would adversely affect individuals. However, I can assure you locally here, that supporting young children and education is a passion, and it's also a responsibility that I have taken. And I can assure you, with the skills and employment strategy that we have in place, it starts from early years and it goes right up to the university. We've actually, in fact, engaged with our employers, and we are very well aware of the demand and the skill set which is needed. And let me tell you, there are so many opportunities that we are creating. We just need to make sure, as a community, as parents, We need to really make sure what is that pathway which is going to lead to a career and aspiration that our kids want. And the support is there. Let me tell you, the support is there, and we'll make sure the support is there.
All right, fantastic. All right, I've got a lot of questions coming in at the moment, Councillor Saab, and I'm going to come on to those questions. Jazakallah for those people who are actually sending those questions. All happen to be the Inspire FM team, by the way. But anyway, one question I want to ask you, Councillor Saab, is with regards to apprenticeships. Now, I've got an 18-year-old, right, who's doing his A-level, second year A-level exams at the moment, just preparing for those. And, Easter's around the corner, and he's currently considering his options. He's, of course, applied for universities, right? But a lot of people are considering these, the apprenticeship route, right? Now, of course, you can go on and, a lot of these corporates and these city firms are offering apprenticeships. But I want to keep it local. You talked about the airport, right? You talked about the council. We've got some local industry, haven't we? What is the appetite? What is the potential for apprenticeships for our local youngsters, right? Locally, right? And what is the council doing to actually generate and create more apprenticeship opportunities? And how do our youngsters access those kind of opportunities? A couple of questions there for you, Councillor Saab.
Sure. Look, first of all, those opportunities would be available through the careers advice, starting from school, starting from sixth form, and at the same time, the university. As well as for those people, adult learning, for example, our team is more than happy to talk and engage with people and to guide them. So many different platforms at each level, you'll be able to sit and discuss. Like I said, we've got one of the big employers is NHS, Adult Social Care, and our employer at Luton Airport. We've already engaged with them. The willingness and desire is there, and the courses which are aligned to those employment. I sit now on the university's governing board, and let me tell you, these kind of courses are being aligned. So we are talking about quality. We are talking about courses which are relevant and which lead to good quality employments. So they do exist and they will exist. And like I said to you,
apprenticeships, have we got some figures? Have we got some metrics to tell me, these are the amount of apprenticeships that we're offering locally. This is how it's increasing. This is how we're expanding.
Our passport to employment scheme is exactly that. Is when we're looking at Vauxhall Motors, and again, a big employer here locally, they've just announced more jobs, and they're linked into apprenticeships. So you're getting hands-on experience at the same time you're going to college and university. Equally the same thing. If you want to go to engineering, it's the same thing. So to give you exact figures, I don't want to quote you wrong figures, but I've got figures, I can give you those figures. But they do exist, and locally, even within our council and different departments, we want to lead by example and offer those apprenticeships.
All right, fantastic. Thank you very much. Well, very good answer, Councillor Saab. I really appreciate that. Right, so I've got a couple of questions here. Why is the council tax going up again? At the moment, we're just talking about people struggling. Today I was just driving past and I was going to put some, I wasn't going to put fuel in, but I just saw the price of the fuel. It's just incredible. Obviously, the current crisis in Russia, Ukraine, that's driving fuel up. People are earning, people's wages increase are not really going up at all. We heard the Bank of England chair not too long ago say that the people should stop asking for salary increases, but yet the prices are all going up, right? The services costs are going up, right? The council taxes yet going up again from April. Is that correct, Councillor Saab? And what is how can you really justify that? I know you're going to tell me that that money is going towards valuable services, and I appreciate that. But really, with all of the price hikes around utilities, gas, it's a real struggle for the local residents, the residents of UK, and it's not really helping. What's happening?
I sympathize and I agree that inflation, and we as a council have been suffering from the vicious and unfair austerity cuts imposed by the government for the past decades, and that includes 160 million pound taken out of our budget, and at the same time the government recommended for us to increase our taxes and or rent increases. But let me tell you, our council tax again is the lowest in the region. Our rent increases are also the lowest in the region, and for the first time in past 10 years we reinvesting back again of £1 million in our street services. So at the same time I can understand the cost of rising is cost of living is increasing, is not a place that many people want to be, but we as a council have to have a sustainable council, and a lot of the services that we do provide cost money. So from 4,000 employees we've now come down to 2,700. We actually delivering more services with less money and less people, but it's something which is out of our hand, and we would like to turn that around. We're investing into our airport, growing and getting the return of investment that we're looking for to reinvest back into our services, and some of those projects will take time. We are also embarking on transforming the town center. That will create more jobs, so people will have more disposable income, will have decent jobs. So as a council we're trying our level best to keep the increases at minimum, but create more opportunities and create more decent jobs so people have more disposable income.
All right. I mean, it sounds about right, but I think some of my listeners are saying, well, this is the same rhetoric we hear from the council year in, year out. What is there tangible for us to see from the council? When they say that we need to increase the council tax to provide these services. What are the give us some examples of those tangible services that we can expect to see?
Well, I mean, you will see more cleaner and greener streets in the town. What you have seen from us is that
earlier we were talking about an initiative tomorrow where people are trying to raise funds for food banks. So people haven't got money.
And I'm coming on to that. I mean, as you can see, we support Food Bank, and we support a lot of organizations which comes through, through our airport. And as far as the bills are concerned, let me give you an example. The rent increases that we were told by the government to increase by 4.5%. We've in fact increased only by 2.5%. That gives you an idea of how we try to protect our local residents. And when we're looking at, for example, recycling and bin collection, a lot of other councils have gone, sort of once fortweekly. Our bin collection is still, fortnightly. So, we're still supporting, some of those services and keeping them, more appropriate for our local population. So that's the kind of pressure we are facing. But the fact of the matter is, 160 million pound out of your budget, and you're left, to scrape the barrels and to keep everything afloat is not an easy challenge.
No, absolutely. I'm going to tell you that you're doing a fantastic job, Councillor Saab, and it is definitely not an easy job, right? With all the pressure, with the cuts in the budget, it is difficult, right? So we're going to ask the difficult questions sometimes, and you guys are the executive, so you got to.
Yeah, I'll give you another example. Northampton, Slough, and many other councils have thrown in the keys, locked up doors, and went and said to central government, "Hey, you come and run the council." We haven't. We've taken up the challenge. We wanted to make the decisions for the best decision for our people that matter to the most. So we kept on the challenge, and in our review that we've had by the LGA and also other experts, they say that we are doing a sterling job, and we will carry on fighting for our local residents, and we will carry on trying to grow the income streams for our residents, create those opportunities so they can have a better standard of life.
We're running out of time, but I want to ask a quick question before we go. How is your cricket playing career coming along?
Well, my cricket playing career is fine, but we're producing cricketers like Kashif.
Because of the winter season, or are you still playing indoors?
I'm still playing indoors, but hopefully, summertime I'll be back out again, and we want you to come out and support us like you usually do and participate. But to tell you, look, our success story, Kashif Ali, was our Luton product from our program, has gone on to become a superstar in KPL, and we've got many others to come along. And I want to thank you for coming and supporting us. Yeah, and you playing, and we want volunteers like you to support the club and inspire others. And that's again another career pathway for many of our kids.
Fantastic, Councillor Saab. Thank you very much for joining us on Friday Night Live. Always a pleasure speaking to you.
Thank you very much.
Right, listeners, that's about it. I think we've come to the end of that segment of the show, which means that we've only got half an hour remaining of the show. We're about to go into a commercial break in about 10 seconds that the producers are telling me. So please do not go away. A reminder, you are with me, Hafiz Shaban. It is Friday Night Live, and we're going to go into a commercial break. We'll be right back. 01582 4818 220 779 481822. When we come back, we are discussing the story, the inspirational story of Amani, and we are discussing brain tumor. Do not go away. Until then, Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. In Luton and its surrounding areas, it is now time for Salat al-Isha.
लुटन और इसके मज़ाफ़ात में नमाज़ इशा का वक्त हुआ चाहता है.
This azan has been sponsored by Ideal Properties. Contact us on 01582 721110 or log on to www.idealpropertiesltd.co.uk.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
اللهم رب هذه الدعوة التامة والصلاة القائمة آت محمدا الوسيلة والفضيلة والدرجة الرفيعة وابعثه مقاما محمودا الذي وعدته إنك لا تخلف الميعاد.
Would you like to sponsor the Azan? If so, give us a call on 01582 481 810 or email us on info@inspirefm.org.
From the studios of Inspire FM, the time is now 7:30.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to Friday Night Live with me, Hafiz Shaban. Friday the 25th of February 2022, corresponding to the 23rd of Rajab 1443. As usual, we are broadcasting live on Luton on 105.1 FM and across our partner stations, including Sheffield Link FM, Peterborough Salam, Derby, Nottingham. For our listeners elsewhere in the UK or internationally, you can tune in to us via the Inspire FM app, via the Inspire FM website, or any of the social media platforms. Last but not least, do remember to like tonight's show. Leave us your comments, leave us your thoughts. 01582 481 822, 01582 481 822, 0779 481 822. Right, so we are into our last segment of the show tonight. Right, we're into our last segment of tonight, and we are going to be discussing slightly, right, the very inspirational story of the courageous Luton campaigner who not only bonded with pop star, but was also diagnosed with the same type of brain tumor that of course the Luton campaigner Amani also suffered from. And we know the story of Amani has been an inspirational story for all those who have come across her story. Her funeral prayers took place earlier this week and was attended by hundreds and hundreds of people. Thousands of people have been touched by her story. Many thousands of people have been following her story over the last year to 2 years. And of course, we know that this week, sadly, she passed away. So tonight we're going to be discussing. We're not necessarily going to be discussing her story specifically, but we are going to be discussing a brain tumor, right? So brain tumor. I mean, I'm not a medic myself, and I'm very ignorant, I have to say, when it comes to a lot of these diseases and illnesses and diagnoses. Unfortunately, what does happen is that when many of us, or when many of our loved ones, are suffering from these kind of illnesses, it prompts us to actually, let's start looking further into some of these illnesses and start investigating, and then we become a lot more familiar with some of these causes and some of these, initiatives. But anyway, we are going to be discussing brain tumors, and we're also going to be discussing another fantastic initiative that is happening locally within the Luton Sixth Form College, I believe, if I'm correct. And that's a fantastic initiative that's actually going to be rolled out across the students of Sixth Form College, and that's with regards to actually teaching the students at the college some basic first aid, right? First aid elements, how to put someone into a recovery position, how to give hands-only CPR, and how to use a defibrillator, right? They've linked up with the British Heart Foundation, and on Wednesday, this training will be rolled out across some of the college students, right? So we're going to be speaking to a couple of guests in this last half an hour who hopefully are going to shed some light on both of these causes and both of these initiatives. Firstly, we're going to be speaking to Hugh Adams, who's the spokesperson for the brain tumor research. So let's go straight to Hugh Adams, and then later we're going to be speaking to Mark Fulbert, who's the Director of Progress and Achievement at Luton Sixth Form College. And Mark is the person, I believe, who's leading on this initiative, and more importantly, leading on the training of the program. So I think we'll come on to Mark later. My understanding is that we're going to be speaking to Hugh Adams initially. And there we go. I can see Hugh right now. Hugh Adams, great to have you with us on Friday Night Live. A bit of a tragic and a personal story that, of course, on the back end of which what we're discussing, brain tumor tonight. Of course, our respect and our condolences go out to the family of Amani Liaquat. And anyone, as I was saying earlier in the introduction, anyone who has read the story, come across the story of Amani Liaquat, will truly, truly be deeply touched by that story. And of course, that story all evolves around brain tumor, doesn't it?
It does. Good evening, Hafisa. Good evening, everybody, and thanks for this opportunity to talk about brain tumor research and specifically to talk about Armani. Armani was an extraordinary young lady given the most cruel diagnosis of a very aggressive type of brain tumor, and it would have been very easy for her to shrink away and for the family to retreat into themselves at a very difficult time for them. But they chose not to do that. They chose to very publicly campaign and to support our cause, knowing that I think that it would come too late to help Armani, but for other people going forward. Because you're right, what you were saying in the build-up there, Hafiz, was that the until you actually put into this arena, until you actually have a diagnosis in your family, sometimes it's something that you might not know much about. But we believe the more people know about what we do and why we do it and the need for more research funding, the more people know about it, the more awareness that people can raise, the more people will get involved, and the more we can actually get on the route to finding a cure. And that's why what Armani and the family did was so extraordinary and so courageous and so impactful and inspirational. And all the words that you would have seen said about her on social media over the past few days. So we were desolate at Brain Tumor Research when we heard the news, and at the same time we temper that sadness with respect and admiration for all that was done. So as I think has been recognised, and you said at the beginning, the amount of people who attended the funeral, an extraordinary person, greatly missed, huge impact.
Absolutely. I mean, definitely we will be discussing the story of Amani and her campaign for many, many days, weeks, months to come. And we will leave the story of Amani for a moment. I want to focus more on brain tumor. As I said, I mean, when it comes to my medical knowledge, then I'm a complete hopeless individual when it comes to medicine. So let's educate our community who are listening in tonight to this into the show. Brain tumor, right? That being diagnosed with brain tumor. What is a brain tumor for the layman? For the average community members out there, what is brain tumor, and what is this campaign about raising awareness about brain tumor, and bring us up to speed in terms of where are we? Because if I haven't got it mistaken, I remember a friend of mine whose son was diagnosed with brain tumor, and the first thing they said is inoperable, and there's nothing that literally you can do about it. I mean, is that true, that there's nothing absolutely that you can do with regards to brain tumor? Just I'm sure it's a very complicated and a broad topic, but let's see if you can summarize it and just tell us what it is, where are we with trying to understand it, and where are we with trying to cure it at all.
Okay, well, there's an awful lot to unpack in what you've asked me there. So a tumor really is formed in the same way in any part of the body. There are too many cells growing too quickly and they're not dying off, so lumps are formed. What happens, of course, with the brain tumor is that it's in an area that's extremely crucial and sensitive. And what you said there about your friend's child who had an inoperable brain tumor, well, that certainly can happen because if the situation is too close to something that might control speech or some form of movement, surgeons can't go in there and operate on it because it's too risky to the ability to survive, or indeed it could kill you. So you don't have inoperable tumors so much in other areas. They are predominantly the brain, and that's one of the crucial facts around brain tumors, is that any intervention, any form of surgery or radiotherapy is inherently more dangerous because of the area that it's in. And you have to be it's crucial that you are absolutely accurate with what you do there. I'm not saying it's not You don't have to be accurate in other areas, but you can be a bit more radical, for example, in your surgery and find out a bit more about what's causing the tumor. With surgery on a brain tumor, you can only take the tumor out. You must leave everything else there because it's there for a reason. Now, one of the other complexities around brain tumors is, one, there are 120 different types.
Wow, are you saying brain tumors?
120 different types. We don't know what causes them. You know, if you look at some other cancers, you can say, you can have advice from the government or from your doctor saying, you know, maybe don't eat this type of food, maybe do more exercise, do certain things in your lifestyle that will influence whether you might get diagnosed with a certain form of cancer. That's not the same with brain tumors. They're completely indiscriminate. And that's why they disproportionately affect young people. So if you look at the statistics, the starkest one is that brain tumors are the biggest cancer killer of children and adults under the age of 40. So what are we going to do about that? Because that's clearly not acceptable. And what we do know with certainty, Hafiz, is that we will only progress, we will only get closer to a cure for brain tumors if we invest in scientific research. Now, if there's one thing we've learned from the pandemic, it's that when something like COVID comes along, everyone looks to the scientists. The scientists are the people that will get us out of this position. And so with COVID, they were really well funded. We worked in a different sort of way, and we got to the vaccine very quickly. Now, we need that sort of urgency for brain tumors. We need a real investment of money. And for too long, that money for the scientific research, the discovery science, has been underpinned by charities. So we're saying, actually, at Brain Tumor Research, we're saying, now, hold on, well, you know, we can only do so much. We need money from the government. And that's one of the critical parts of what we were talking about. And again, going back to Armani, you know, her family were aware that sort of campaigning side of things is really, really, really important. So that's a sort of a bit of a background. I think you probably may be going on to ask me something about symptoms and how you can recognize a brain tumor. And that's really difficult because, as I said, there are 120 different types. Every case is different. And sometimes it may be headaches, but sometimes it may not. Sometimes it may be fits. Sometimes it may not. So it's really difficult for me to say this is exactly what a brain tumor looks like. But, you know, if you are concerned, just make sure that you get yourself checked out and hopefully get it diagnosed if it is. And it's a comparatively rare disease. It still remains a comparatively rare disease. No less devastating for those affected, but comparatively rare. So, yeah, I mean, to go back to the other point that I made at the beginning, we've got to invest in the research. And Armani was clear on that. We're clear on that.
No, absolutely here. I mean, I think you're right. I mean, just the fact that there's 120 different types. I mean, I don't think the right approach is to go down that route. It is what it is, right? But I think the more important question is, what are we doing about it? And I think that's what you're trying to emphasize in terms of the research and the development and the scientific research behind it. I hear you that also, and of course there's a huge contrast between what happened in COVID and the funding and the acceleration of that and the prioritization of that over something like this, because cancer, brain tumors, they're one of those kind of causes that people know that they're out there. And you know, a lot of charities, you know, flagship charities are synonymous with those areas, and they're almost taking the flag. You know, they're almost taking the vanguard position of being the ambassadors and you know, for those particular causes. What about the government funding when it comes to these areas, right? Are you getting much support from government in that, or is it really the private support, the supporters and the charities that are really taking that forward?
And that's a really interesting point, and I think things are starting to change. Historically, just 1% of the national cancer research spend went on to brain tumors. And as I said, you know, we absolutely know if you invest in research, you'll get closer to a cure. If you don't invest, you won't. It's as simple as that. But I think because of the awareness raising that we've been doing, and because of high profile stories like Armani's, the government is actually more willing to invest money, but we have to make the pathway to actually getting that money from government into the hands of the scientists easier. So it's almost like the will is there, but the logistics are still being left behind. So it's a question of people coming in with a new way of thinking, an innovative way of thinking, taking some of the learnings, I think, from COVID about moving quickly and moving in parallel rather than in a sort of a linear fashion where one thing, then another thing, and nothing. Doing things together, we can move things forward. And I think actually we're heading towards an exciting time in understanding more about cancers and how to treat them and how to get the body fighting back against cancers. But it can't come quickly enough. You know, brain tumor patients, as Armani demonstrates, they don't have the luxury of time. So we've got to move with urgency and speed.
I've got a question that's come in, and that's brain tumor and cancer. Is that two different things, or are they the same thing? Sorry, I said I'm not going to ask you scientific questions, but we're getting some of those, unfortunately. But there you go.
No, it's a really good question because we talk about brain tumors, and if you went to America, they would call it brain cancer. Right. You know, it's just something that's evolved that we talk about brain tumors, but actually it is brain cancer. It's the same thing.
Okay, very good. All right, and next question that's just come through. I'm just waiting. All right, Mark is waiting. All right, fine. In fact, it's not a question. It's a prompt from the producer saying my other guest is waiting too, which is fair enough. Last but not least, let's just try to wrap this up then, Hugh. I mean, of course, the case of Armani has really raised the awareness of this particular, if you want to call it a menace or reality amongst the Asian community a lot, I would say, because of course Armani being from the local Asian community, being from Luton, and not to say that that's the first time that they're coming across cancer. Cancer, is agnostic of Asian or non-Asian. Everyone's suffering from it. But I mean, if our communities out there listening to us tonight, and of course they've been touched by the story of Armani, which I'm sure a lot of people have, and people are interested in wanting to know more, getting involved in the campaign, and trying to raise awareness, raise more funds. What can they do, Hugh? How can they get involved?
Well, thanks for the opportunity to promote the charity again. So we are Brain Tumor Research. Our website is braintumorresearch.org. We're on all of the social media platforms as Brain Tumor Research, and we have campaigns running all the time. Now, they could be fundraising campaigns or awareness raising campaigns. So we have do 10,000 steps a day in February, wear a hat day in March, wear a hat with flowers in the summer, or work with me as a campaigner. Let's get MPs to attend all parliamentary groups and put some pressure on at Westminster. So campaigning, fundraising, it's all there because we've got to raise funds, we've got to raise awareness if we're going to get closer to a cure.
Hugh Adams, it's lovely speaking to you tonight on a very sensitive topic, and talking about wearing a hat. I'm already wearing a hat for you, before March it kicks in. But thank you very much for your time tonight, and thank you very much for educating me and our listeners on brain tumors tonight on Friday Night Live. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hafiz. Really appreciate the time.
Right, listeners, that was Hugh Adams, and of course we were trying to raise some awareness with regards to brain tumors and what brain tumors are all about. I'm sure many of us would have come across a story from either a family member or an extended family member, someone in the community, and if not anything else, but from the story of Armani recently, who of course sadly passed away earlier this week. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raise her ranks in the hereafter after suffering from a brain tumor. Okay, so we're going to actually move on, and we're going to be speaking to Mark Hulbert, I believe, who's the Director of Progress and Achievement at Luton Sixth Form College, about a brilliant initiative that's going to be rolled out within Luton Sixth Form College, right? So let me see if I can go and see. There we go. Mark has appeared. Mark, great to have you on Friday Night Live this evening.
No, it's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Fantastic, very much for giving us some of your time on a precious Friday evening, right? So, what's going on? I saw a message that sprung up earlier with regards to, unfortunately, that the Luton Sixth Form College also lost an amazing young student who passed away in 2021, I believe, from cardiac arrest. And as a result of that, the college, I believe, is looking to turn over and educate and train its students, potentially, I believe, with some very life-saving skill set that we're trying to roll out. Tell us more about the initiative, Mark.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I mean, the college was struck by tragedy. Well, of course, Amani was a student at the sixth form college around about 5 years ago. So, of course, a double tragedy of late. But yeah, as you rightly say, back in October last year, we lost one of our young students, a young lady by the name of Alia Rizwan. And Alia had a condition that's called myocarditis. And that is where the muscle of the heart becomes inflamed as the body tries to fight off infections, just infections that you or I would fight off every day, like the common cold, for example. And unfortunately, in the case of Alia, it led to cardiac arrest and then to, sadly, to her death. And of course, that strikes the college. It has a huge impact, inevitably, on her family and friends, who we have been blessed to have conversations with, and to think how we can try to remember Alia and bring about some good from such a tragic incident. So what we've decided to do at the college in Alia's memory is to train all of our students in 3 key life-saving skills. The skills that you mentioned earlier, so how to put someone into the recovery position, how to give hands-only CPR, and then how to use a public access defibrillator.
All right, fantastic. I mean that's. I mean, it almost sounds very, very elementary, but I mean, it's incredible how many people are not aware of these basic, first aid kind of, tasks, right, or course of action. And you know what, I have to put my hands up and say, you know what, I think I'm one of those who needs to actually put myself into some basic elementary training, because you know what, I've had situations where I've been at work and someone's just suddenly collapsed, right? Or something, maybe he's got a particular condition and he's suddenly gone into a certain state, right? Or you've seen it happen on the street. It actually happens quite commonly, right? And it can happen at any time. And you know what, I have to hang my head in shame, unfortunately, if I don't know how to respond to that. I mean, I want to help, but I just don't know how to help. Am I helping that person, or am I making the situation worse, right? So we need some basic elementary education and a bit of training there.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, you've hit a couple of key things on the head, really. I mean, firstly, yeah, generally people don't know what to do. On the whole, people do want to help. As human beings, we want to help someone else when they're in real difficulty. And someone who's had a cardiac arrest really is in difficulty. And what will massively increase their chance of survival is that early intervention. An early intervention from CPR, even with hands-only CPR, can. And you said exactly the right thing there a moment ago. This can happen at any time to anyone. I think our students, being younger people, probably have the impression that heart attack or cardiac arrest, and the two are different. They're not the same thing. But that's something that happens to older people.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
That's absolutely not the case. This can happen to anyone at any time. We saw, obviously, back in Euro 2020, with the incident that happened with Christian Eriksen in that match. Was it Denmark-Finland? I think it was, wasn't it? When he suddenly went down onto the ground instantly without any warning. He'd had sudden cardiac arrest, and he was a very fit guy, prime of his life. And he was very fortunate that his teammates recognized the severity of the situation. The medical team responded very quickly. He had very quick access to CPR and to a defibrillator. And thankfully, it was a happy ending. And that's the message that we need to get out. These are skills. They're very simple skills, particularly if it's hands-only CPR without the rescue breaths. Very simple skills that anyone can do, and we can train people in very quickly.
Yeah, so Mark, we're running out of time. So this is actually being rolled out to all the students on a voluntary basis. Those that want to, come along and learn, they're more than welcome. What's the plans?
It's not a voluntary basis because we think that all of our students should know skills. So all of our second year students from Monday will start a program learning CPR and those basic life-saving skills. And that will mean every year about 1,000 students will leave the college going into our amazing Luton community, and they will know a few basic skills that genuinely could save someone's life. And what more fitting tribute could there be to Alia than one day for another young person's life to have been saved?
Absolutely fantastic, and what a fantastic initiative by Luton Sixth Form College. Really need to call that out and say well done to Luton Sixth Form College. I mean, I just pinged my son because he's a second year student at Luton Sixth Form College.
Oh, he'll experience it.
Make sure you attend this, right? And he hasn't really replied yet. It's good to hear that everyone needs to go through that, because absolutely. I would say it's an essential skill, life skill that we all need to have. Unfortunately, Mark, we've run out of time, but thank you very much for joining us tonight.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Some very, very important aspects of life. Okay, listeners, we have unfortunately run out of time. We're coming towards the end of the show. It's been a fantastic show tonight. Thank you very much, team FNL producers, for putting on a fantastic show tonight. Thank you very much, listeners, for joining in and sharing your thoughts and your comments and your questions. Do remember to like our show tonight. Do remember to like us on all media platforms. Leave us your comments and your thoughts. Until next week, I am signing out. This is Hafiz Shaban. It's Friday Night Live. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.
To Inspire FM. Inspire FM.